Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
There we go.
There it is. That's a new backdrop.
Yeah, I'm in a hotel tonight.
Okay. Oh, let me get one other person in before our guest joins as well. We're gonna quad box tonight.
Oh, quad.
Oh!
From her own location, her own phone.
We let her have a phone.
We let her have a phone.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Who's we?
Josh and Chris, obviously.
And let me see if I can get our guest in here. If he's ready.
Octobot.
Would you rather own a quad box or pull a quad auto? Hey!
Hey guys,
What's up, Ryan?
how's it going?
Doing well. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Just finished having a little dinner out here on the West Coast.
I'm glad you're on the West Coast. For East Coast guests, this hour is difficult.
Yeah, no, this one works just fine for me.
Yeah, good. All right, so for those who don't know, our guest tonight is the president of PSA, Mr. Ryan Hogue, and we're going to have him with us for about 15 minutes. And there's a lot of exciting stuff that PSA is doing in 2023, and Ryan's here to answer some questions and to talk about it. So let me kick this first and foremost to Josh to set us off with a question for Ryan. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, congrats on the new position, Ryan. I think it's probably the first time I've chatted with you in person about that, so congrats. Question is, why don't you just run through the letter you sent out and the email and just kind of go through what changes are coming on the grading front?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. So we emailed out I guess we called it a president's letter earlier this week. I did a little bit of framing on some changes and investments and focus areas for us as a business for next year, or this year, I guess. One of those is just kind of investing in the core services, core capabilities of our grading operations, making it easier for customers to get started using our services was one of the goals too, and that actually leads into some of the pricing changes. So I'll talk about that in a second. And then we really want to focus on growing our customer base, and so we're going to do that through a couple ways. One is kind of reactivating customers that maybe haven't been grading with us the last couple of years, especially during the lockdown and having more of the lower price grading tiers unavailable, as well as reaching new customers internationally. And so we're making a big push to grow globally, including launching our first grading operations outside of the US in Japan later this year. And so those are some of the highlights that I talked about in the letter. And then as it relates to grading changes, we rolled out, we gave a preview of these right before Christmas, and then we made them effective on Wednesday. And we rolled out some new pricing tiers, specifically on the entry-level services. And I think that's where folks saw the biggest changes, and there was honestly a lot of discussion and maybe some questioning, and I think I can probably try to clarify some of that on the call with you guys today. So we standardized declared value for the 3 entry-level tiers. So we've got a normal value tier that previously was $30, and it was a Collectors Club only access. We've now made that available to all customers, and we lowered the price by $5. And then we added a bulk option with a higher declared value limit. Previously, that was $199 for your item. We increased that to $499 to match the normal value. We increased the price of that service by $1. So it previously was $18. It went up to $19. And then we added a new service that we've never done before at PSA that we're calling Value Plus, which has the same $499 declared value max, but it's $15 more per card. So it's $40. But what that essentially does is allows you to move that order to the front of the line, ahead of the bulk, ahead of the value. And it's the first time we've decoupled declared value from turnaround times. And so we'll see how that's received in the market. And then the other thing that we did is we lowered pricing on regular pretty significantly. We took it down 25% from $100 to $75. And we added a dual service option for bulk now for an auto and card grading at $25 a card. And so those were the big highlights. And then on the non-card world, we re-enabled the value price tiers for tickets and packs, which is also really exciting. So there's a $30 option there, up to $499 declared value.
Wow. Okay. And if I may, Ryan, which one of these levels is the big home run with PSA's customers? Does one of them jump out as like everybody's smashing this one and going with this one?
Well, I think, to me, honestly, getting bulk at that higher declared value limit feels like a big win for customers. That's something that I wanted to do. There was a lot of kind of myths going on out there about upcharges from PSA, and I can kind of give my commentary on that. When we had the value at $199, people would always say, well, yeah, but they're going to get you with the upcharges. So one of the goals here that we tried to do was just neutralize that and say, look, regardless of where it's at, you've got this $500 max limit for these cards. Feel free to submit it. It's easy decision making. It's, do I have 1, 2, or 3? Great, I can just pay for the normal value. Do I have 20 or more? Cool, I get a bulk discount. I save $6 a card if I go that way. Do I need it back super fast? Okay, I'll pay a little extra, and then I can do the value plus. That was the rationale that we were going for with this. And so I think that will hopefully make it a lot easier for customers to decide how to get started. Previously, the lowest price tier to grade with PSA was $50 at the economy level. And so now it's $25. So we've really cut that in half. So for first-time submitters, it's a lower cost of entry, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, me too. I've got a stack of card saver ones that need to go in, and I was waiting for that level, and now we have it. Okay, Christina.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say, I was going to add one more thing too. We will continue to run specials. So we had two $15 specials that expired at the end of December. I think people thought $15 was the new normal rate for bulk. It was a special. There was a modern one. There's a TCG one. They both expired on the 31st. We will run those throughout 2023. We do not have any specials running right now, but they will be around.
Okay, good. Glad to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, Christina, fire away. Do you have a question for Ryan?
I do, yeah. So, Ryan, I just want to congratulate the entire PSA team for getting caught up with the backlog. I know that the whole company was crushing it for the past 2 years, trying to get that those 11 million graded and shipped out. So, congrats to your entire team and everyone that works at PSA for that. The hobby is thankful. So, in your president's letter, you mentioned that you wanted to add more transparency to PSA, how it works, get more of you and the team out there, as well as how PSA is going to continue to grow, which you touched on a little bit. So how do you envision this happening? Because PSA has always kind of been like the man behind the curtain, kind of.
Yeah.
So how are you going to change this up?
Yeah, me being on here is one example. I want to do more videos of showing how the operations work where we can. There's obviously some proprietary things that we don't want to reveal, but I definitely like the notion of bringing people behind the curtain a little bit. For all of you have seen the operations there. It's really impressive seeing the scale and some of the investment that we're making. There's some really cool things we're doing with automation and imaging that I think are powerful to show off, and how we're bringing these new technology solutions at scale to the hobby. And so I've been working with the marketing team, and we have a series. I think there's 30 plus videos that we're interested in making throughout the year that we're gonna develop, that hopefully give more of a behind the scenes look at how things work, bring people more in like kind of into the process and remove, I guess, a little bit of the opaqueness around what PSA is and how the whole grading thing works.
Yeah, I have one question,
Nice.
if you'll allow me, Hoj.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hoj,
Yep.
Hoj, not Hoj. Yeah. Anyway, so, very confusing. We'll just call you Ryan to make it easy. So you mentioned that you're opening PSA is opening the first international grading operation in Japan later this year. I know our international collector friends are very excited about this. What scale are you guys looking to open it at? Are you going to be just serving Japan, or are we serving all of Asia? What's the blueprint look like right now?
Yeah. So it's going to start just by serving customers in Japan. There's a lot of kind of import laws and things that we have to work through before we can enable servicing from other countries. That's definitely on our roadmap. We would love it to be kind of a hub for the greater Asia area. But for now, it's going to serve customers in Japan, where we've typically had those orders shipped to California. But we're expecting to have that operation up and running in July. I'm actually planning my first trip out there around that time to celebrate kind of the grand opening of having our new operation up and running in the new facility. And then continuing to scale up the output coming from there throughout the end of the year and into Q1 of 24.
Okay, I have a 2B to
Yes.
add on to that. Since you're going to Japan, will you be doing the Mario Kart tour through Tokyo?
Hold on, what is the Mario Kart tour? Tell me.
Yeah, Ryan, you're going to have to look into this. This is very important, and everyone needs to know if you're going to do this. There's literally a tour where you can get on a go-kart and dress up as your favorite Mario Kart character, and they will tour you through the streets of Tokyo in your go-kart while you guys all play Mario Kart.
Oh, that would be fun. I'm going to have to look it up. I would probably dress up as Luigi if I did that.
Okay.
And then, this will be my second trip to Japan. I have not been to Japan since 2008. So it's been quite a while since I've been over there. And this did not exist when I was there last, but I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, I'm done.
I don't know why
I see
she knows
Josh's
that.
comments.
Why do you know that?
I see you, Josh.
Okay. Well, we probably can fire off one more question apiece before we let Ryan go. So, Josh, let me pass it to you, and then I got a final question to round us out.
All right. I'm leading with a comment from a PSA customer, long time PSA customer. Please do not add a 9.5, Ryan. I know you might be tempted by that. We love the 10s, and we love to know that it's either a 9 or a 10. Do not add the 9.5. All right. My question is about the transparency. Have you ever thought about this as a feature idea of giving like notes as to why a card got a certain grade, maybe charging extra? Has that ever come across your mind? What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I've talked to our director of grading about that before, and when people will do like a review or a crossover, oftentimes they'll get a sticky note or something that goes on top of it that might point to a corner or mention surface or whatever. And so there's been that notion of getting a little more insight into why something maybe didn't cross or bump on a review that we do and that we've done historically. If we were going to roll out something like this across the board, I think there's a lot of concerns around the slowdown in how the team can operate, because the volume, I mean, this is what kind of got us in trouble before with the massive backlog, is the team just got overwhelmed with the demand. And we've spent the last 18 months really dialing how the machine operates, and we're really efficient as far as what comes in the building. We've got like 8 separate steps in the grading operation, and they're all running really smooth. And so if we added more requirements where there's documentation or more input that needs to happen there, I think there's just a concern that could end up slowing things down in the overall operation, and we'd need to accommodate that. I'm not opposed to it in the future, or especially at certain service levels, and I think it would be something that we would entertain. But I think for the mass volume of things, it's probably not feasible for us to roll out.
Yeah, you have to roll out probably to start with. You have to pay extra for it, and you try to deter people that way, or at least to scale.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, we've done this before with reviews and crossovers, where I think that's where a lot of questions come in. Why didn't this cross? Why didn't this bump? And you get an explanation there.
All right, Chris.
Nice.
Ask your first question.
All right. To wrap this thing up, Ryan, as a collector, what card are you looking forward to picking up the most in 2023?
Oh gosh, I get asked this a lot, and I get so busy with just my job lately that I haven't even had time to have fun with my own collecting. What I've had fun with the last month, I like prospecting with Bowman, so I've ripped a ton of new Bowman products, both Bowman Chrome and Draft, and that's always fun. And learning about all these like 17 and 18-year-old prospects that are coming up, so that's cool. The two things that I'm still working on that I'm adding, maybe 2 or 3 cards to a year, are my Hank Aaron and Willie Mays basic tops runs. I think I've got the Willie Mays one is like 65% complete, and I think Hank Aaron's only about 30%. So I'd love to pick up 1 or 2. I'm trying to do PSA 8 or higher on those, and so a nice example of those guys. I've kind of got a gap with Willie Mays from 57 to 63. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I can fill in there. And then Hank Aaron, I've got a whole bunch. I've got the rookie, but everything else in the 50s I have none of. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to add.
Nice. Okay, you've got options.
I got options. I'm always on the hunt.
All right, Ryan, look, thank you for joining us. Do you have anything that you want to conclude with, or maybe anything we didn't touch on before we let you go?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would just encourage if folks have feedback, I'm available here on Instagram. You can also reach me on Twitter at rhogue. Feel free to reach out if you've got comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on things we're doing well, things we're not doing so well. We're here to serve the collectors. I mean, we want to make products and services that make people happy, brings them enjoyment, and meets their needs. And so I'm just trying to be a good steward of the brand and the thing that's been running since 1991.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for joining us. PSAcard.com, everybody. Got some great stuff going on for 2023 with PSA grading. Thank you for joining us, Ryan. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Oh, all right. So now we need to, first of all, congratulations to the team on our professionalism.
Thank you.
I think we have everybody duped. Okay. Christina, what are you doing here? Are you staying on the triple box? I don't think so. No?
No.
Okay, well then,
no.
Then I'm going to take great pleasure.
It's too official, and we all know that my best rants are the ones that come faceless.
All right, well, I'm going to take great pleasure in doing this. Removed. Okay.
I could not see Ryan the whole time. Was there a quad box? Is my phone just being weird?
What do you mean you couldn't see him?
I couldn't see him. I could hear him, but I couldn't see him. I was like, oh, this is audio only. It might be like this shitty hotel Wi-Fi or something.
I don't know. I saw him, so.
Oh, I'm sure you guys did, because I figured someone would have said something, but probably just me.
So you conducted an audio only interview. Nice.
Oh, it was great. It really focused my senses, you know?
Nice. You could just look at Christina down there blushing in the other box. Could you see her at least?
I was trying to see his reflection in your guys' eyeballs. It didn't work.
Titty Sub says you need to upgrade that BlackBerry.
So, what do you think about the 9.5? Would you want a 9.5 or subs with PSA or no?
Let me put it to you this way. When has the 9.5 ever worked?
People with BGS like it, right?
People with BGS, I think, like Gem Mint cards in a Gem Mint slab, but I don't think they're like loyal to the number 9.5. On the other hand, people are very loyal to the number 10.
I think it's more about like throwing off all the history of PSA's population report. It would just completely, it would mess up all the ratios, all the pop reports, all the gem rates. Like it would just completely mess it up. You know?
Totally. Yeah, that's it. That alone makes it a non-starter for me, in my opinion. It's just messing with the history alone and the continuity. But also, I just think like we've got enough track record of like people saying that 9.5, even if they conceptually understand a 9.5 as a gem mint grade, that they prefer they prefer cards that are gem mint and that it just has the number 10 right up there. So, okay. What is there anything else to debrief from that? I think having declared value on bulk go up to $500 is a welcome change.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, but I didn't get a chance. He said something like, they got some backlash. I was gonna say, what part of that got backlash? I thought all those changes sound good to me. I like the raising of the declared value to $4.99 on bulk, because that's $1.99 is like really limiting on what you can send, because anything under that, you're not sure if you even want to send it. If you're over, you can't do bulk. Like $4.99 seems like the sweet spot.
Yep. Yeah, that's sick. Okay. One thing I didn't get to ask Ryan to go on about, but that I love, is that PSA is imaging every card. So, like, I just did a lower end submission at the National that came back a few months ago, and it was all cards like $100, $200, and like that's stuff that I ultimately have to scan in, and now I won't need to do that anymore. Now, like, if I send 30, 50 cards, that's going to save me a few hours, honestly. Like that's not nothing.
One of my new favorite parts about buying a card, I did it today. I'll buy a PSA card, and if it has an image, if it's been slabbed, in the last like couple of years or whatever, I will add it to my card letter collection using the PSA cert before I even have the card in hand. It's in my collection. I can value it. I've got a picture. I start getting like pre-excited that it's coming. It's like a fun ritual.
Nice. I like that. I used that feature for that card that we added last week. Okay. Christina, is there anything you want to debrief from the interview with Ryan? No? Okay. All right. Then let's get into the show. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have mail days?
No. Get to yours, boy.
I do.
Chris,
And you're gonna want me to go first because yours is more important. Not more important because mine was a gift.
Yes, it is, Mohammed.
More expensive.
Yeah, it's more expensive. So I got a gift in the mail to Christina Thorson McGill. And I don't know who that is, but I opened it anyway. So I got the Maxi Kleba out of 25, 2017 rookie patch from Flawless in a BGS 9. And I just want to thank my awesome Santa Buddy the Elf person who sent this to me. I didn't get his permission to say who it was, but thank you very much. I love this card.
Nice.
I don't know. I'm going to follow that.
I think you'll be okay.
My mail day for this week is one card, and it is the 1998 Upper Deck or UD Choice Premium Choice Reserve. If you look if you stare at it for long enough, you can make out all three of those words in this subtle cracked ice sheen that's on the bottom half of the card. It's a BGS 8.5. Only 8 of these have ever been graded by PSA or BGS.
Whoa. Oh, I didn't know that.
This one is number 61 of 100. And thank you to the dentist himself. See, I do business with dentists. Stanley, a.k.a. on Instagram, Stasic1313. So nice to kick off 2023 with a little bit of MJ Grail action.
You had to pay off that titanium fusion card.
That's exactly what happened.
So,
that's literally why I have this, is because he was fundraising for something bigger and better.
I love when the hobby works like that. When you could just like piece together the string, connect the dots thing. This guy needs this card. He's got to sell this to this guy who needs this.
What's the show where he's like, a lot of people had to die for me to be me? Oh, damn! It's like right on the tip of my tongue. That's kind of what happens with these cards. Like a lot of cards had to get repositioned
Right.
for that Grail to come home. Heavy lies the crown, sort of thing. Oh, it's Departed. It's Jack in The Departed. He goes, a lot of people had to die for me to be me. Well, a lot of Grails had to get shipped out for Stan to be Stan.
Why do you think so few of those have been graded?
That's a great question.
It's like a Slam Jam's Playmaker Theater situation where they came out of like cheaperish packs, and those cards just weren't as prevalent to be graded. I don't know.
Exactly. And so here's what you were talking about. This is what he ended up buying with the money from the peons like myself. So that's a pretty sick card.
Oh man, I love that card so much. You have a BGS 9?
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah, so about a PSA 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys have equivalent grades then.
Yeah, it's basically the same card. Okay. All right. Let's get into announcements. Is there anything? I mean, I feel like reiterating the new population report feature on Card Ladder. That's going to be something worth checking out. But okay. Otherwise, no announcements on the Card Ladder front. Let's get into questions because there was a lot. And one of the themes this week, I'm not sure if it'll come through based on the way I ordered these, but a lot of people are thinking about flippers and whether they like flippers or not, and whether flippers are good or
not about flipping, but about their feelings towards other people flipping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, am I allowed to hate a certain kind of?
I mean, that's kind of where a few of these actually went. But okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
All right. So we're gonna warm up with a few softballs, and then we're gonna get into some of the bigger topics of the week. All right. Bruin Killer says, if you had to describe the hobby in one word, what word would it be?
Hobby.
That was my word too, hobby. It's a great word to describe what it is. But you know what? How about I flip that? How about I say the one word to describe the hobby is business, because there's a lot of money and business at stake in this hobby.
I'd say cards.
Card.
I'll take passion.
Passion, nice. I mean, look, I was good. I could have gone with fun, but why do that? Let's take this thing in a
Theme.
Yeah. Okay.
We always talk about collecting. Tonight, let's talk about flipping.
Next question up is from Matt Bubar. There's actually two Matt Bubars in the hobby. This one would like to know, have either of you ever bought a card that would make it an all-time high price? And if not, have you considered it?
I'm sure we both have.
Oh, as I was thinking back on this, I was like, I think almost every time I buy a card.
I was going to say, have you ever bought a card that wasn't the all-time high?
And this is going back years. Almost every time. What about you? That's not true for you, I don't believe.
I think most of the Penny Hardaway ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've seen another green PMG penny come up for sale, so... no, Grant just sold his. I don't know. Definitely some of the penny stuff. And I'm sure some of LeBron's. I'm just struggling to think about it right now.
Yeah. I'll one-up you, Matt Bubar. Have you ever paid the highest price ever paid for a player? Because I got a few of those under my belt. All right.
So do I.
Oh, you definitely did. All right. Mitten State Collector says, what are the top 3 cards that you would most enjoy seeing coming up for auction this year that we have not seen sell in a while?
Enjoy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my three cheapest cards, because I don't enjoy it, so I've got to pick my...
That's where I went with this, too. I was like, how about the 3 I would least like to see?
Right.
But no, I have an answer to this, because I was thinking about it a little bit. I'd love to see a PMG Green MJ. How about that?
Yeah.
It'd be fun to see one of those sell. So that was one of my cards.
Not unless it was selling to me. Otherwise, I'm just
I
gonna.
think is this question like in general or cards that we own?
Just top 3 cards. It doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I can give an answer. I thought they meant like card. We keep seeing cards come up for sale. What do we want our own cards to come up? Trying to think of one that we haven't seen. The green PMG Jordan's really good. A green Kobe at auction would be cool.
For sure.
I was gonna say the Jordan game jersey out of 23. I feel like I haven't seen one of those, but there's one on PWCC right now.
There's one up right now, yeah. Just wait. Just give it enough time, and everything's going to end up coming to auction.
LeBron 2003 Finest Gold X Fractor 1 of 1. That'd be cool.
Has that card ever been seen before?
Yeah, Bob has it.
Okay. Of course he does. Okay.
I think he has it raw. I think it's raw. It's a die cut, or it's
Yeah.
like the edges are deep cut.
Yeah, it has like die-cut perforated edges. Mr. Minty says Steph's Superfractor from Topps Chrome rookie year.
That's
There's
a great answer.
card that never has been seen before.
Luka Blood.
Yeah, I mean,
What if it just came to auction? Nobody heard about it and it just popped up on auction.
I'd prefer that card to never show up. At this point, just let it live in a pack.
Yeah, that's true.
Until I rip it.
Okay. Well, everybody just has that hope. All right. LSU. Okay, now let's get into some bigger topics here. LSU Tiger Collector 65 says Fanatics sold its 60% stake in Candy Digital. Why are you smiling? NFTs to the moon.
You said bigger topics. Nobody cares about this.
Oh, I care about this. So Fanatics once was a 60% stakeholder in Candy Digital, which is an NFT and digital collectibles company. And they recently announced that they were completely divesting of it. And Michael Rubin, CEO of Fanatics, added some additional comments that basically said he doesn't see NFTs as standalone collectibles having much of a future, at least not with Fanatics. He said the physical trading cards drive 99% of the sports collectibles, trading card aspect of their business, the physical ones as opposed to the digital ones. So, that was a really harsh statement for the future of digital collectibles in the sports card space, at least when it comes to Fanatics. So, what reactions do you have to this? I mean, could anybody have seen this coming?
Yes. I think it's good. I posted a story that I thought it was good that we could just have the focus be on the physical. I was worried that when Fanatics first started, rolling out new stuff and new announcements and, stuff they were working on for taking over the licenses, I was worried it would get watered down with also we're doing all these NFT projects and it wouldn't get enough focus on the physical cards. So I'm kind of glad that runway's cleared a bit. Other than that, I was most interested in his commentary after the announcement. Like you said, some of those quotes he had were, I think one of them was the physical was driving 99% of the revenue or something,
Yep.
versus less than 1% for the digital.
Yeah, and that's just not a PC thing to say in corporate world, period, or in collectibles, is to just. That's why I'm so grateful for what Michael Rubin did. He's one of the very few figurehead key stakeholders in this industry who has spoken up and without any equivocation, without any hesitation, put his full faith into physical trading cards, which is something that really I rally around. And I'm so happy that he did it. I want to, congratulate him for doing that. I know that resonated with a lot of people out there who, just like physical trading cards, we've felt under siege from multiple different businesses and entities over the last few years that have seen our hobby thriving and have tried to come in and, redesign it and siphon collectors away from physical cards and bring them into digital cards. And I just thought what Ruben did, and the fact that not only did he do it, but he made a statement about it, and he came out and just threw all of his weight behind, our beloved physical cards. Us dinosaurs got a vote of confidence from one of the most important people in this industry, and it meant a lot to me. So that's my take.
The last piece I'll comment on is there's still this trailing belief that the NFT part of it is somehow going to supplement the physical as like a technology piece to like, hey, you've got the physical and you also own this NFT sort of companion to your physical that you can use to trade. I still don't understand that, and that was used as like the selling point for a while on it, and that seems to have died down now that the valuations of some of the NFT stuff's gone out. Like nobody's talking about the technology anymore because it's still like a very basic concept that we have with many other things. Like for example, if you have a card in a PWCC or Golden Vault, you could just sell it and move the vault account to someone else. It's the same concept. I get that you can like sell it on the NFT platforms, but what use case is there for someone that owns a physical card wanting to exchange it only on these NFT platforms? It doesn't seem like a use case that matters. It only matters if you're a customer of one of these sports card companies.
Well said. Okay, in a related question, High Fades 82 says, will all of the NFT truthers return to cards?
I don't think any of them ever actually left, right? Like they're just kind of dabbling in both.
Well, that's the thing, I think. I don't think this is like a blanket statement. I'm not going to generalize all people under this umbrella, but I think a decent number of people who ventured into NFTs are people who pride themselves on being ahead of the curve, are people who try to, be a step ahead of the market. And when you get that strong of a signal from Michael Rubin and Fanatics that they're putting all their such a vote of confidence in physical trading cards, I think a lot of people just objectively look at that piece of news, look at that as a clue to say, okay, the digital collectibles thing in sports anyway, it seems to have hit a pretty big obstacle here, and I think a lot of them do end up returning to cards because I don't think that many of them are loyal to anything. I don't think they were ever loyal to physical cards. I don't think they were loyal to digital collectibles. I think they were just loyal to where the money was. And so there will be a return of some of them. On the other hand, I think there are some who did develop a real liking and loyalty to digital collectibles. And you know what? There will always be spaces for them to enjoy digital collectibles. Digital collectibles goes back to CryptoKitties. Digital collectibles predates the stuff that we had over the last few years. I think there's going to always be a space for digital collectibles and people who love to collect that stuff. But on the whole, I think you will see a return of people to sports cards and abandoning the potential for, an NFT takeover as a digital collectible. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, our issue has never been, the person who is collecting that stuff and wants to dive into learning about NFTs and gets into that Twitter world. That's never been our issue. The issue has been the people trying to siphon away from sports cards and tell you that these are better than sports cards and come into our platform and, our front yard and try to tell us what to do. I think that's always been our issue, and that's why my comment on the Ruben thing is that, I'm glad that he's been separated them because that's what I don't want to see that stuff when I'm trying to focus on what I want to research at sports cards. I don't want to mix together.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say they come into our front yard and take a shit on our lawn, and I was going to say, yeah, we're tired of the people shitting on our lawn in our yard. We're cleaning it up. We're out there with the doggy bag, and we are.
Like the people or like their unleashed dog?
Either one.
Because
there is no difference.
There's a big difference.
All right.
Someone is squatting and defecating on your.
Okay, that's all right.
Come on, that's different from their dog.
Shifting gears. Lauren Goes Here has a topic for us.
What's up, Lauren?
And this is a touchy one, and people feel strongly on all sides of this from what I've seen when I'm when I'm doing my reading on my phone. All right. She says, "What are your thoughts on Damar Hamlin's eBay card prices? Are these just anomalies, or do we need to have a discussion about hobby ethics?" And then I'll give you some examples. Okay. So I went to eBay, and this Damar Hamlin rookie card sold for $15,100. This one for $15,000. This one for 13 or for 12,800, and then this one's the real kicker. It's alleged that it's benefiting charity. Maybe it is. I mean, it's a Post-it note. I think there are a lot. All right, hey, if somebody wants to donate through charity by winning an eBay auction of a Post-it note, I guess, maybe there are better ways to donate, but who am I to tell anybody otherwise? Yeah, we had Damar Hamlin cards. If you notice the sales dates, January 4th, January 5th, January 3rd, 5 figures for some of these cards, and people are concerned about this. People are concerned because it seems like, people are looking to profit, or people are shilling auctions based on the suffering of another human being.
Well, I took that as what Cali Cards 23 said, where people were bidding them up so high that the seller couldn't possibly make much profit. Like it's like the Jordan Green PMG. You just bid it up just to get it out of there, just to make sure no one wins it, kind of thing. That could be happening. I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. That's the best explanation I've heard for why these prices are what they are.
You think someone shilled them up to then sell their copy of it, or is that like what people are?
I don't know, man. I can't even put my mind in the mind of those who are doing this. But perhaps a word of caution about vigilantism is in order here, because look, when you bid on an auction, that's a contract that you're obligating yourself to pay. So it's, I think the greater good here. I don't think anybody is going to lash out at you, but that's I can't be mad at people for wanting to do the right thing. And at the same time, though, it became a spectacle, and it just became something ugly, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a bad situation, and then the hobby, at least on this front, made it worse. So I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say about this.
And you could say that he's got good news coming out of his camp, aside from all this crap. Like, it sounds like he was Zooming with teammates today, normal Zoom. And it sounds like he's talking, right? I heard it was like he was writing, but now I guess he's talking. Is that what I'm to assume? And he's neurologically there, which is great. So it sounds like the doctor said he's progressing way faster than they thought, which is great.
Yeah, that is great. And, after this situation moves on, and it sounds like it's going to have a pretty happy ending, it doesn't solve the issue of this is going to happen again and again.
Yeah.
It happened last week with Pele. It's just kind of the nature of the hobby. People have cards and they wait for a player to do well to sell them. Mm-hmm. But on the other side of that coin, when something tragic happens, they also sell them. It's not like it's people who have cards that aren't trying to keep them are going to sell them. Are they taking advantage of the situation? Yeah, welcome to capitalism.
Okay, we're going there.
Yeah, I'm going there. Because I'm getting really sick of people whining about it and they're bidding it up so it won't get paid, because how dare someone try and sell what they own?
Okay, that's the other side.
It kind of irks me. Like,
So you're kind of saying, hey, everybody has agency. If people want to buy these cards and people are putting them up for sale,
yeah.
and they want to do an arm's length transaction in an open market, who are other people that interfere with that?
And if you're so upset about it, don't fucking search it on eBay and don't pay attention to people who are selling those cards. Otherwise, mind your own fucking business and let people transact how they're going to transact.
Okay, I did not see Christina coming in on the other side on this one. So let's go, Christina. Yo.
Look, I'm not saying it wasn't tragic. I'm not saying it wasn't traumatic. I'm just saying, mind your own business.
Nobody said you were saying that.
Mind your own business. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I mean, I got to be honest, I'm a little bit on the other side of this one. And I'm going to tell you why. There's something that doesn't sit right with me when there's a profit motive that depends on the suffering of another human being for it to operate. And that doesn't mean that I want to stop it from happening. That doesn't mean that I want to interfere with it. But I'm not on board with that. I can't support that point of view. It has never sat well with me, and it just makes me uncomfortable seeing it happen. And here I'll put it to you this way: like you guys didn't want to collect Damar Hamlin before this, like I don't know, man. Put some respect on these guys for what they do as athletes, and really care about these guys independent of a newsworthy events. So what do you say, Josh? What do you have to say about this?
I don't know. I get both sides.
Yeah.
I usually get annoyed when, like, if you're just gonna put it on eBay and I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. But when you're like on Instagram, it's usually when like someone has a big game. It's like, oh, check out this big game, also available. That's usually where I get annoyed. Is like you're trying to sort of like flaunt it a bit. I don't know. It's a really gray fine line area that I don't really care to try to navigate.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. Great topic, Lauren. We're never going to solve it. This is always going to be a part of the hobby and of collectibles too. So it's probably wise to find a way to reconcile ourselves with it, because it ain't going anywhere. It's going to continue to be a factor. All right. Okay, long question here from Drake's PC with a little spice from Stacking Slabs, and then we'll discuss it. All right, so Drake says, first, I applaud you all for talking about cards in areas of the hobby that you are familiar with, and not being afraid to stay away from areas that you aren't familiar with. My question is, what motivation do you think other content creators have for trying to give negative opinions as facts on cards or on part of the market that they are not invested in, or they've never even dipped their toe into? Do they truly believe their opinions are facts? Are they trying to keep attention on areas that they're invested in, or is it something else? And then Stacking Slabs comes in. He says, this is a great topic. It's sad that ignorance can be used as a tactic to grab attention. The shock jock is not exclusive to sports media. Unfortunately, we have shock jocks in cards. I wish more creators realized that the less they talk about things they have no idea about, the stronger their audience will be. And then finally, Drake wraps it up and he says, yeah, it's easy to say don't listen to something or change the channel, but when there's a huge audience built, it's still important to state opinions and not try to reposition them as facts. So these guys had something to get off their chest. What do you think?
Just read your answer. That's my answer. I thought you just summed it up.
Well, my answer had no opinion to it. I don't think it's going to satisfy anybody, but here's what I said. I said basically when you're dealing with the sports card market, you have two primary components. You have sports fans and you have a finance component. Sports fandom and finance. Now, in the first one, in sports fandom, as sports fans from a very young age, we are trained to love our team and the players on that team and the city, and as a byproduct of that, to do battle against and constantly have to defend ourselves and our team against all the other teams, all the other cities, all the other players. And you can see this unfolding in any arena or any stadium across the world anytime a game is happening and you have fans from multiple sides there. And then if you really want a toxic dose of it, just go on Twitter and you will see the most insane, absurd takes defending different players, teams, and positions. Okay, so that's part of sports fandom. Part of sports fandom is defending your team, and honestly, part of it is putting down the other team as well. That's really, there's something about that that's just, we are conditioned to be sports fans like that. All right, and then finance. So I read a book by Morgan Housel not that long ago, and one of the most interesting insights that he had in that book is that pessimism is incredibly seductive in the field of finance, and that pessimism is often used as a way to convey intelligence and as a way to show credibility to an audience. And there's a famous quote that economists like to make about themselves as a joke that basically says, did you hear about the economist who correctly predicted 9 of the last 3 recessions? Meaning that in finance and in finance-related sectors, there is just something very appealing and popular about being pessimistic, and there's a lot of pessimism. Okay, so let's put that together. In the sports card hobby, you have sports fandom and you have this finance component, so you have this tendency to put down everything that's not yours and to prop up what's yours. That's the sports fan part. And then there's tendency to be pessimistic, which is the finance part. And you put together pessimism, and you put together putting down everything that's not your own, and then all of a sudden it sounds a lot like some of the hobby content that's out there. So that was how I kind of broke that one down, Josh.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. And Drake, get it off your chest, man. You always have some of the most thoughtful questions, bro. Drake is in the chat. He says, I don't own F1, NFTs, or soccer. I may have my opinions on them, but I don't use my platform to give opinions on them because I'm not educated enough to give an informed opinion.
Remember when the market was going up and everyone was going crazy and making money and everything? We kept hearing people prop up things they knew nothing about with the assumption that, if money flows into that thing, that means mine's also worth more, and like everything's just getting inflated. That was happening a lot. And now are we saying that there's money flowing out, so you need to try to capture that money on the way out by shitting on other things? Right. Is that kind of the new theory?
I guess. Yeah, I guess. And I think Drake kind of nailed part of the motive as well, which is that, in this hobby, especially when people have a microphone, they're going to be tempted or compelled to talk good about the stuff they like and talk bad about the stuff they don't.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's frustrating. Hey, there's stuff that I hate too, I couldn't, it doesn't escape me. Maybe I'm connecting dots that don't connect, but doesn't this sort of describe how I feel about NFTs? Like, I'm invested in the well-being of the sports card collecting community and the sports card hobby. I see NFTs and digital collectibles as an invasive species that's trying to pollute and distort and cannibalize what's already built. So I'm against it. And I'm transparent about that, but that's why I'm against it. So, I don't want to be a big hypocrite. I'm often probably hypocritical about things. I don't want to throw stones in a glass house here. But, I feel that way about certain things too.
Yeah.
So all right. Kobe 8123 1996 13, a.k.a. Muhammad, says, what's some advice that you give but rarely follow in the sports card hobby?
I got a great answer for this one.
All right, let's go.
I always talk about patience, and I have none. I'm like, save your money. Wait for it to come up to auction. Make sure you take your time spending that money on the right card. Take time curating it. No, I bought 3 monster cards this week. They came to me. We're buying. I don't have any time. I don't have any time to wait.
Nice. Good answer. I don't know. Help me out. What do I say but don't follow?
You're all about data and
yeah, let's go.
And then you throw of all time high.
That's good.
When you're looking for a card that you want.
Yes. So in other words, I pretend to care a lot about numbers, but then when it comes time to put a card in my own collection, all that
multiple by 2.
yeah.
And I'm hypocritical in that I just told everyone to mind their own business, but I do not do that at all.
Nice one. All right. Ben, Cross Country Runner 1 says, what do you guys do, or what have you seen other people do, when you are low on funds, which is pretty much everybody in the hobby at all times, but still want to maximize your engagement in the hobby? I just purchased my Grail card this week, and I've been enjoying looking at my collection, but no longer have the time for the thrill of mindlessly scrolling auctions since I have no money to dedicate to new cards. And even if I did, there's no card that could eclipse the Grail that I just got, or could even eclipse some of the cards I already have. So where do I go from here? And then in parentheses, he says, yes, I depend on advice from internet strangers.
I would just say, go and start appreciating what other people have. Look at Instagram, see what other pickups have been made, start spending time with the community, chatting with and then, taking inventory of what you have already and sort of, go back and relive some of it. Maybe post the card you haven't posted in a couple of years or something like that, and talk to people in that community.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we're all going to peak at one point. Am I right? It all just can't get better and better. Well, I guess it could, hypothetically, but one mail day, and you might not even realize it when it's happening. That's going to be your best mail day ever.
I think I've already had that.
And it's all downhill from there.
Dude, I got LeBron RPA and PMG Green in a 3-day span. I'm not coming back from that one.
Right. Yeah, exactly, dude. You peaked.
That reminds me of that meme that's once one day it was your last day to go outside and play with your friends. That just broke my heart that at some point you're gonna peak on your collector scale.
Look, we got to take our medicine. Look, now you're the tough guy on the Hamlin cards. I'm the tough guy on this. Take your medicine. One of these mail days was your best mail day, and it may have already happened.
No, I refuse.
And you know what? That doesn't mean you stop going. It just means that you already peaked. Hey, look, some people peak in high school. Be glad that your hobby journey peaked when it peaked. Like Cage peaked in the 80s. So,
I feel like I peaked 2 years ago.
That's a great hobby question to just ask. Maybe at the Dallas card show next week, I'll go around asking people, when did you peak in the hobby? We'll get some answers going. All right. Sorry, Ben. I don't think that's a...
Come on, David.
I don't know if that's a great answer.
Everyone wants to hear.
No. You should take... So David, the great David Kahana says neon green peak. And look, you should take that positively because that means you haven't peaked yet.
Yeah, but...
And that will be your peak.
That card being my peak is not, is pretty depressing, is what I'm trying to say.
I didn't want to go there. One from that set?
I had 3 one-of-ones from that set.
So how was the 5 peaking?
Because it's the last one of the rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's keep going here. look, part of the hobby is just figuring out how to find new ways to enjoy it when, getting the ultimate grail, either because it's not available or because you already have it. You got to keep going. Reinvent yourself. Just like when MJ added the fadeaway. Maybe he couldn't dunk from the free throw line anymore, but he could do other things. Rodman PC says he hasn't peaked yet. That's shout out, Rod. Rodman, I think you peaked around the time you were in Qatar with Messi golds as your guy was winning the World Cup. I think you peaked.
I heard Rodman sat with Elon Musk at the World Cup.
Well, then he was.
Someone should tell Rodman that the red PMG isn't even the peak of that card. It was a green one.
That's his local peak.
It's like not even the best of that exact looking card.
I don't even know why I'm reading this guy's question, because he used to frequent our chats and bring mirth and levity, and he hasn't been in here in a while. But that doesn't stop him from dropping questions every week, and this time he signed it himself. Adam Lefko says, are you excited to watch Lefko on NBA on TNT? And so when I reposted this, I posted a picture of Shaq hitting Lefko in the face, because that's what I'm most looking forward to, is the physical comedy that Lefko and the crew bring on a regular basis.
You're getting a swap of Dwayne Wade for Jamal Crawford. What do you think about that?
I'm not mad at that at all. I think Jamal Crawford is one of the best analysts on TV talking about NBA. With all due respect to Dwayne Wade, who's a literal GOAT of his position. But I love Crawford. I think his analysis is awesome. You got any thoughts on that one?
Wade's too good for that show now. He's outgrown it. He's going to go off and do better things.
That's probably about right.
I'll be excited to see Lefko if Lefko brings more cards onto the desk.
Well, don't let the Eagles mess around and win, or he's going to definitely bring that Jalen Hurts kaboom green he's got. I guarantee you that. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, you are going to see a Jalen Hurts kaboom green on TNT. Write that down. Like Chuck, they write down his predictions.
Yeah.
All right,
We got to win the game first. I think they've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah. Timmy D21PC says, how do you remain grateful of the cards you have while actively trying to get more? So this is like the opposite of Ben's problem. Timmy's problem is that he doesn't appreciate what he's got enough. He's so on to the next all the time. What do you think about this question?
He's got too much money. He needs to stash it away and prevent himself from buying other cards and force himself to appreciate it. It's the same answer, though. Go back, look at your cards, repost stuff if you haven't posted in a while, find new ways to create content around the cards you have, make lists, whatever you got to do. Go back to create group chats for different segments of the hobby that you're in. That kind of stuff always gets me going.
Yeah. True that. Also, assuming that your cards are in your physical possession, Timmy DPC, what always works for me is just taking out all of them or some of them, just laying them out. This is going to make me sound childish, but I like to envision, I pretend I'm a dealer at a show, and I have a display case, even though I don't have a display case, and I line them up I would put this one here, and then after I laid them out on the floor or on a table, I'll leave the room, and I'll walk into the room as if I'm walking into the show, and I'll just be oh, look at this display case here, and then that's so I role play myself walking into a show and looking at my collection.
I just hope that Christina can get us footage of this, where you're placing them around and she's like, what are you doing? You're like, what? Oh God, nothing.
And then I walk behind the display case and I start a conversation with myself. No, I don't do that.
What do you think of this one? You like run around. You're like, oh, here's what I think, sir. Oh, hold on, let me go back. Oh,
I said, oh wow, you have a really nice collection. I run around. Oh, thank you. What do you collect? All right.
He's like,
There you go.
might I add, you're a good-looking fella. Just half enough.
Guy that handsome shouldn't have a PC that nice. What can I say? All right. The GOAT cards. Here we go. The GOAT card says, are modern card shows designed more for collectors or flippers? Collectors or flippers?
Kind of feels like the flippers are the dealers and the collectors are the ones getting suckered into buying from the dealers. Or at least that's the way it was constructed for a while.
That's true. That's very true.
It kind of feels like it's more made for flippers. Like the quick nature of being able to buy it at one booth and sell it to another or something, like the physical proximity of being able to flip literally inside the same building.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember, like, early 2021 shows when they were just, like, the Dallas Card Show was being described as, like, the Wall Street floor, and, like, people are like, yeah, like, okay, that was, like, peak Flipperville of shows, where, like, literally people are, like, figuring out what cards are worth as, like, they walk from one booth to the next and they try to sell them back and forth to each other.
Yeah. That's why we had to, like, carve out our own perception of what these card shows were by telling ourselves that we go there for the social aspect and we go there to look at cards and enjoy the atmosphere of it and not get into because for the most part, like, we're just not able to find stuff there that fits into our PCs. It's, you're going to be able to find it more efficiently on the internet, and it just kind of became, you're going there for the kind of the spectacle of it.
Definitely. Amkesh says, it's a dealer-to-dealer circle jerk. Retail people are essentially irrelevant. And that's right. And, like, that's important to realize as a retail person. I'm definitely a retail person when I visit these shows. And it's important to remember that. Like, this is not representative of the average hobby experience. You are seeing a sub-genre of the sports card hobby when you go to a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's right about that. Like, and if you're not a dealer, or if you're not part of the circuit, or if you're not part of the crowd that goes to these shows a lot, like, you're going to feel like you're a little bit on the outside. I can't help but feel that way at a lot of shows that I go to, but that doesn't mean that it's still not a blast.
If I picked 100 random cards, totally at random sport, era, everything, how many of those, if I were to show you all 100, how many of those would you be like, oh my gosh, I have to have that card. Let's figure out a deal. Tell me the price. Let's work this out. I need it.
The likelihood of is probably zero.
Yeah, it's like 0.0001.
Yeah, it's a very, very small probability. And that's like...
That's how I feel at card shows.
Exactly. That's like to the point is that shopping for cards is way more efficiently done going through these online marketplaces that have millions and millions of them, and or networking and putting out feelers, talking to people and trying to track stuff down. The odds of just walking into a room and the card that you're looking for just being there, it's probably going to be pretty slim.
But the concept of browsing things you don't feel the need to spend money on is a much different, more fun experience.
That's true. And that's worked out. That definitely has worked out for people before. All right. 41K Gold says, is it difficult to sell cards right now, or am I just bad at it?
It's difficult to buy cards right now. I don't know what you're complaining about. What's your highest is like the most common question in the world right now.
Followed up by, look, I'm into this for X, and I got to make 120% of X. Like, really?
It's always super easy to sell. You want to know the secret?
Price it accounts. I don't know. Fair
send
price.
send that bitch to auction. That shit'll sell. I guarantee it.
True that. Yeah, that's why I've always had an issue with the argument that somehow sports cards don't have liquidity. Bullshit. Send it to auction. You'll get cash fast. You just might not like the amount that you get.
Dude, when I sent stuff to Mike MC, I got fucking paid. Turnaround from when I shipped it to him to when I had money in my account was less than 2 weeks. So that seems pretty lucky to me.
Oh, man.
That's like faster than selling a car or, some other stupid thing.
Yeah, without any of the normal, literally all you do is put it into a box and wait.
It takes like 5 days to transfer. Takes like 5 days to transfer money out of my stock savings accounts into my cash where I can spend it. That takes fucking 5 days. Business days.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to sign a title over, or if it were a piece of property, you don't need closing agents and lawyers involved. Oh, there he is. We read your question a little earlier, Adam. Congrats on your comeback, buddy.
Adam, tell us about Jamal Crawford. Give us a quick, in the chat, one-line thing about what we can expect from Jamal Crawford. Next question.
While he types away. Nobody in the chat really chimed in about whether or not it's difficult to sell cards right now. So I can't speak to this because it's been the last time I sold a card was to a guy named Carrot Top Cards who went through my card letter showcase, saw that I had a James Harden Prism Gold, and just was like, hey, I really need this one to complete my run. And I was like, all right, you got it.
Well,
But I said, but I have to make 175% of this.
I'm into it for this. Yeah, double my money, bro.
Oh, okay. All right. Hoops Hobby says, how much does the personality of a player factor in? Oh, go ahead. What does Adam say, Josh?
He watches more hoops than anyone. I created a segment called What's in His Bag so that he can break down why NBA stars are so... Yes, that's what we need.
Nice.
That's what we need. We need someone that knows hoops and watches hoops. I've been listening to Thinking Basketball a lot, by the way. Thanks for the recommendation. Great show.
Okay. And do you like it?
Yeah, I just did it.
I don't think he would have thanked you if he hated it.
Well,
No,
I was actually advised.
I've been listening to it a lot, but I fucking hate it.
No, hold on a minute now. Now I'm gonna say you got a point, but the great big rings earlier today told me that Jim Rome used to say you got to give something 2 weeks before you decide if you like it or not.
Oh, it's been 3 weeks. So you told me about it a long time ago.
Okay.
I don't listen to every episode. It's mostly like when I'm out of Simmons episodes.
Yep. Fair. He has a series that he did over the offseason, ranking the 40 greatest players that I haven't listened to really yet, but that was well received. Okay. So, all right, let's get to this question. Hoops Hobby says, how much does the personality of a player factor into their collectability, as opposed to how much does their on-court performance factor into their collectability? So how do you stack those two up?
I think performance has a much greater influence, but it's almost like you need to have the performance first, unless you're just wildly, you have a crazy personality, but usually the personality will supplement it and take it to the next level. I'm thinking of a Dennis Rodman, Allen Iverson, even Michael Jordan, LeBron. Those guys have big personalities. That stuff always helps them. That's always been the issue with Duncan and Kawhi, I feel like. Those two guys have less of a personality and less, exciting persona off the court, and that's held them back a decent amount. But you got to have the performance, I think, as your foundation.
Agreed. But they both do matter a lot. But, one thing that as I was really thinking about this, I was like, once I've come to admire or like a player for their performance, it becomes very difficult to then be like, but I don't like his accent or something. Once I'm in, and I'm gonna probably like their personality unless they're a serial.
Well, what about this? What about this? What about their personality not necessarily being like what they say off the court, but like how their style of play is, as like that's how you read into their personality. For example, if you like Jokic because of his kind of quirky style,
True.
you might take that as like his personality is that he's kind of quirky as a as a guy. That's like what you pull from it is how you watch him and his style of play.
Yeah, there's something to that. There has to be something to that. It matters. It definitely, personality, even as an extension of play style, certainly matters.
Style of play and how you carry yourself on the court or field is big for me.
Yeah, it is. Josh, can you see Adam?
I can. It must be the quad is where I lose it. I can only do 3.
I'm watching Josh's Phoenix Suns have 82 points in the fourth quarter.
You had to come on just to say that? That's funny.
No. I like this discussion, though, because I think that personality can overshadow production. And I think for the lower, less, let's consider them a GOAT, it can propel some, like Pat McAfee is a punter, but his cards sell. You know what I mean? I think the very low end, there are some personalities, but I also think the window of those lasting are not generational like the all-time guys. LeBron and Jordan will be collected forever. The other guys are like a moment in time. And so they'll last for that generation, and when that generation, if they teach their kids, but like we're not going to remember Odell like we did 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Or but I do think that there are certain guys like Giannis where the humility is very appreciated by the hobby. And I think that there are other guys like Kevin Durant where the hobby looks at it and goes, I don't like his personality. And so I think when you're like on those weird tiers, I think it can mess it up. But I think if you're truly like the goats, it doesn't matter. Unless, you're hateful.
How does KD have the most votes, but he gets trashed in the hobby? What am I missing?
I have heard, and I'm sure you guys know this more than me, that China doesn't like him.
So how is he getting
I've always heard
these damn votes?
Because I think.
So you're saying you think China has a bigger influence in the hobby than the fan vote?
If we're like China to the hobby versus China to like voting for NBA All-Star, I just think that you could call me wrong. I have no idea. I've just heard people say this. Chris looks like he's jotting notes.
I am.
I'm gonna let him talk.
Keep going.
No, you. Okay. He needs me to vamp. Stretch. I think that if you're looking at name the top 5 players in the NBA right now, he's on the list. And so I think when it comes down to vote, and I also think that forward in the East, there's 4 names and then it drops off. Forward including center, where it's Embiid, Giannis, Durant, and Tatum. And then there's a huge drop off. And so I think he was definitely going to be in there. But the voting is also crazy. I mean, like Andrew Wiggins is above Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think.
He started last year in the All-Star game.
That was because of K-pop.
Yeah. Right. It was actually. Okay, but listen to this. All right, so you got me thinking. Who has the worst personality of athletes, but still is beloved by the hobby, still is collectible? The worst personality.
Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb?
Raging racist.
Fair. Okay. Throwing away people from a racist era.
I mean, shoot. Donald Trump has crazy cards. Okay. All right. Athletes. Ooh. It's interesting because I think that, like, I'll just say this. Kobe was somebody that when I was younger, I did not like. Because I thought he was brash and I thought he was mean and I thought it was, like, really intense. And now that I'm older, I look at it and I'm like, he's how I want everybody to be in life. You know, why can't we all have Kobe mentality? Stiff arm wax said, I'm going to say Jerry West. He is my rival. He is my rival. Oh,
That's good.
well, who would you say right now in sports is abrasive? Like, who is abrasive?
I have to fall back on part of my own PC. I mean, I see on Twitter that people hate Luka for the facial gestures and the other demonstrative stuff that he does.
Yeah.
You know,
The technical.
the
ref.
the whining to the refs. That's the one thing I hear more about than anything. Oh my God, if you didn't whine to the refs so much.
Luka definitely would have went to Duke. No, I think that's also crazy because I think the true thing is as somebody that bets Luka props, he gets hit a lot and they do not call it. But the problem is that he goes in anticipating that he's going to get hit. But I'm trying, like, I don't know. Josh, you seem like somebody that people's personalities would rub you the wrong way. Draymond, I saw, like, I know people don't like Draymond, but I don't find him to be a bad guy.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, I was thinking of Aaron Rodgers. Someone in the chat said that too. Like, he rubs a lot of people the wrong way with all his comments.
He
But he's still pretty
pivot
questionable.
in the last few years, that Aaron Rodgers did. Yeah.
KD is pretty annoying, dude. He's pretty horribly annoying, or at least he was. He may have been getting better over the last couple of years, but he had a stretch there where it was like, just get off Twitter, KD. You're annoying.
And for me, it's like I get so bored with the super humble guys that I love people that embrace being a villain because it truly makes sports better when you do have a Lance Stevenson who's willing to like blow in people's ears and start fights. Like when I think back, that's what's so wild about the 90s is that Michael Jordan was all of our heroes and he was all of the players' villains. And we didn't realize that at the time because he was doing McDonald's commercials, but he was the one going up and being like, I'm going to kick you out of the NBA tonight. I'm going to score so many points on you that you're going to get kicked off the team. But we as kids were like, kick him off the team, Michael.
Love when he punches Steve Kerr. Punch him! Punch him!
Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, Steve Kerr's got a punchable face." You know, like we just
What?
everything was
Steve Kerr
fine.
seems like he seems so nice, and we're all like, "Yeah, punch him."
It's hard to be the villain, man. Like that's why when people become the villain, like they have to go so hard because you cannot ever be like, "Oh, I was just kidding," because then you lose all credibility. So like when you go full villain, like. Man, that's rare.
Is Draymond still in the TNT sort of?
Oh yeah.
Band?
Oh yeah.
Has anything come up of him punching? I feel like he never really addressed it fully.
He did something with TNT before, like, because they had the opening night on TNT, and he did an interview, and I think they did talk about it. I mean, he's got his own podcast. I think he's been asked about it a ton. I think the big thing was when Jordan Poole came out and said that he, was like okay with it, and that once the victim, I feel like, says they're okay with it, I feel like those stories usually die, and then the season starts, But I mean, we got Dana White out here slapping his wife in a club, like there's a lot of physical contact these days. And next thing you know, Josh is going to slap Chris. It's going to be crazy.
Sean Watson, we're just pretending like none of that ever happened. I don't know when that happened.
I was having a discussion about it with my friend. He was like, why aren't people talking about it? I said, no, they're going to talk. This was the week he came back. And I said, but you forget that, like, the NFL, the storylines, as soon as the games are played, they completely get washed away.
Yeah.
Like, the NFL is incredible. Like, NBA, like, we'll talk about Kevin Durant having burners for the next 50 years. Like, in the NFL, it's like, oh, but he did show up for my fantasy team. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, the NFL just washes away things. Like, Jerry Jones is, I think, having to go to court right now to take a paternity test. This woman is accusing of him being her dad, and no one's talking about it. Like this is crazy. But we're like, yeah, but are they going to get the 1 seed? Like,
Yeah.
Spoken like a
That's
true
pretty-
Eagles fan, Adam.
yeah.
How you feeling right now about your squad, especially after Minshew proved that Hurts is the real deal?
Right.
That's the point. I think for me, I think that we're going to beat the Giants and we're going to get the bye. And I think hopefully it is the Silver Linings Playbook, which was an Eagles movie, that every good champion has to have a crushing loss that reframes their mindsets of what a loss feels like.
Fair.
And I think that was always the story of those Patriots teams. But I even remember covering Kentucky in the year where they were undefeated all year with Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and they lost in the SEC championship to Vanderbilt. And then after that, you couldn't touch them. It was like in 300 when the spear goes by Xerxes' face and he like its own blood and he's like killed him. But I think that just as a Hertz collector, let's talk about this from a cards perspective. It was starting to annoy me that everybody's like, it's a great team. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, I'm also an Eagles fan. Like, I watched the Colts game where he literally carried the team on his back for the last 2 quarters and ran in when the plays weren't working. I watched the Jacksonville game where like they were down 14-0 and he like his ability to run through people, his ability to like QB sneak, all of those plays where like the fake handoffs that Gardner was running that the defense wasn't falling for, it's because he's not a threat to run. Like the team is great, but it's perfectly built with him in mind, you know, like, and so I'm glad that everyone has that realization. I think as I look through the NFC, I think the Niners, I would put a little bit above the Eagles right now. But if that game is in Philadelphia, now it's let's run all over this team.
Yeah. But how can you put the Niners above them when the Niners, we don't even know who's going to be quarterbacking for them the first week of the playoffs?
Yes, we do.
Who? BCB?
Purdy. Yeah, Purdy.
Oh, man. I heard Jimmy might be coming back.
You can't.
You can't put Jimmy over BCB?
Purdy hasn't
What's your issue with Brock Purdy?
hasn't lost
He
yet.
hasn't lost yet. He's unproven. He's unproven goods. I do like what he's done.
Undefeated.
What has Jimmy Garoppolo proven to you?
Jimmy G made the Super Bowl. He was one incredible
Jimmy G made the
Patrick Mahomes
Super Bowl.
play.
How many passes did Jimmy G throw in the NFC Championship game? 8.
I believe it was 16.
8.
Last year?
But
He
that
threw
was
8?
No, the one when they beat the Packers to lose to the Niners, he threw 8 passes in the NFC Championship game.
high?
Kyle
Is that
Shanahan's offense with your golden child CMC just needs a guy to get it done. Hey, listen, I like Jimmy G, but how many times have we seen you ride the hot hand in the playoffs?
Right. The Bears should have. Remember the Bears in the Colts Super Bowl about 14 years ago? Riding the hot hand, man. I agree. I'm with you.
Who was the hot? It wasn't. So who was it? Not Rex.
No, it was Orton.
And they had Orton.
Kyle Orton. I remember that.
Who was? I mean, Tom Brady is the example.
Yep.
Because Drew Bledsoe was back against the Steelers. I mean, Eagles rode Nick Foles, but and they were like saying Carson Wentz could come back. The reason I said the Niners is right now, the Niners have a truly elite side of the ball in that defense.
Yeah, they do.
And my Eagles right now, it's like, hey, we got 2 weeks and like hopefully Lane Johnson comes. There's just a lot of questions right now. It's like when someone asks you, who thinks the MVP? And then you give an answer, but it's also like, guys, it's January.
Yeah.
Like DeMar DeRozan was the MVP last February.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Let's go. The Bulls are still frisky too. They beat all the best teams and they lose to the bad ones.
What's your basketball opinion that is counter to what everybody else has right now?
I'm kind of lining up with the mainstream right now. I'm not going to lie.
Tatum.
Oh, I don't think Tatum is a bona fide MVP candidate. That's probably the one. That's the biggest. But I think most people have kind of come around to that now.
He's not going to make first team All NBA.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
He might not start in the All-Star game.
He's got Giannis and KD ahead of him. He's not going to make the first team All NBA.
Because right now, the Eastern Conference, the four forwards are Tatum, Durant, Embiid, and Giannis.
Yep.
Giannis is playing.
Yep.
Durant is playing. So it's going to come down to Tatum versus Embiid. And I'll even say as a Sixers fan, I would go Tatum. Just because he's played in more games.
True.
And Embiid is so frustrating.
Why?
Because he thinks he's a point guard for half the game.
I mean, the guy's putting up 34 points a game.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He's
I think
just as good this year, man. He's right there.
third of it's from the free throw line. I know. But here, I don't want to mess up your show, but I will say, so Tuesday is the first show.
Okay.
I would love to request from the hobby for when the show is on TNT, if you guys could get on Twitter and tweet at the show. It is always appreciated. The more, and I'll give you a hint for how tweets can get on the air. This is what I've learned getting my own tweets on the air as a viewer before I was on.
Let's go.
The key is you need to make an observation about the show in the first 30 seconds coming out of commercial, whatever the block is, whether it's a clothing thing or like making fun of my turtleneck or whatever. You need to tweet it out almost immediately and then tag at NBA on TNT and then like hashtag NBA on TNT. Because what happens is there's like a producer in the back that's like scanning through. And the ones that hit quick, he's like, I got some good ones on Left Coast turtlenecks. Those are going on. Like that's how television, they need it right away. But we're starting at 7. We'll have a half an hour. There's a chance that we're going to be talking to SGA on headset before the game, which would be really fun.
Nice.
And then the night game is Warriors and Suns, and looks like Andrew Wiggins is going to be back. Everyone's excited to see that All-Star.
All right.
But I had all the meetings today. We have a. I don't think Jamal's watching right now. We have a good prank for Jamal that he doesn't know about, so that'll be fun.
Why you got to prank him on his first day? I mean, come on.
Because it's rookie hazing.
All right. Dang.
Like,
Adam, are you confirming you will be wearing a turtleneck?
Yeah, we did. We could maybe prepare some jokes if you can tell us.
I'm never going to not wear a turtleneck.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'm telling you right now that I believe that our show started in like 2020, and right after I started wearing turtlenecks all the time, I firmly believe that there are more turtlenecks per minute on television. Like if we were to do like analytics, I watch like ESPN and stuff. There's dudes wearing turtlenecks all the time. I did not see that before, and I was counting because I was like, I think I'm the only dude up here wearing turtlenecks.
Oh, you started it, didn't you?
And so now, Christina, my dream is I'm going to find a company to make a Lefko line of turtlenecks because I actually think that the hobby would love it because a turtleneck and a suit is the most comfortable outfit as a formal man. And if you want to play hoops and you happen to be wearing a suit, you take the jacket off, your hoop's ready. You got a button down, you're like pulling on you and stuff. It restricts motion. But no, yeah, turtlenecks and sneakers. That's what we're doing all the time.
Holy shit. All right, that's a lot of material to work with.
I like it. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome. Yeah, Chris, do you have any turtlenecks?
I'm not a formal guy. You said this is the formal guy's hooping outfit.
Okay, let's say, hold on, let's say you officially win Hobby Influencer of the Year.
Okay. All right.
What would you wear to the award ceremony?
Well,
He's wearing it.
I'd walk in my closet, I'd look and I'd say, okay, I got Adidas shorts and Adidas pants, so that's going to be a tough call. And then a hoodie, maybe Nuggets, maybe Mavericks, I'm not sure. Hopefully some socks are washed. Otherwise, I'm going feet in sandals.
Okay.
No.
Okay, now hold on. Hold on. You're right. I gave a bad example because you would obviously disrespect that. The person
spots are
presenting the
always
award,
blocked, by the way.
it's a double presentation between Michael Jordan and Luka.
Ooh.
The invitations come out and they say black tie only.
Okay.
So you know that everybody else there is going to be fancy, and you have to give a speech.
All right.
What are you gonna wear?
I hit up Josh.
Yeah,
Josh, what would you advise me to do?
Listen to this. There's a story here. We got invited to a fancy dinner at the National, and the at the door it said pants and slacks or slacks and ties or whatever. It said that on the door. This fucking guy walks in with sandals, basketball shorts, and a hoodie, and I look at him and I'm like, dude, we're gonna get thrown out of here. And he's like, no, we won't. And we didn't. So, you know.
All right, but Adam, to answer your question,
Pretty sure Adam was at that dinner.
and listen, he was there. He made a joke.
I think I was wearing an Allen Iverson red long sleeve shirt. I think me and Chris were.
Now, Adam, I'm not saying this just because you're on. I think I would go with a turtleneck from the Lefko line, and then maybe some sneakers, you know. And I would say that even if you weren't here. So I think that's what I would do.
Because that's the thing, dude. If you were to wear like a clean turtleneck with some sneakers that match the color of the turtleneck, you're in.
Yeah.
Because then some guy's going to go, do you know the best part of wearing a turtleneck is someone always comes up to you and goes, you look really comfortable. And I go, I fucking am.
Let's go. I like that.
All right. Well, this was fun. It was good talking to you guys.
First fashion segment we've ever done.
Yeah, like,
Appreciate it.
Hoj, you need your own line of hoodies.
Yeah. We're working on it.
And we're still working on Josh getting sponsored by Truly.
That's not going well. I'll take a pizza sponsorship at this point.
From Elliot's, maybe.
I would take like a Red Baron frozen pizza sponsorship. That'd be sick.
I wish you guys luck. All right, this was a pleasure. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you Tuesday.
Yeah.
See if he remembers how to remove himself. Okay. All right. Well, we've been graced by two different guests tonight.
Well, visually one. The other one was
Josh has been graced by one.
I like how he joined and that's the first thing he said. You're like, can you see him? Like, Jesus.
I wanted to make sure because, look, he's very demonstrative. Like, if you can't see him, we're going to have to have him come back in.
You're right. He changes camera angles on us. We don't know what he's wearing. You're right.
He's producing his own appearance, you know. The angle's up here, the angle's over here. That's good stuff. All right. Okay.
I should have got you socks for Christmas. That's a total miss.
Don't worry, Christina did. Christina doubled my sock total through.
From 1 to 2.
Pretty close, yeah.
I'm slowly
All right. We got 20 minutes left. Let's hit a few more questions here. Dobbs Card Guy wants to know, has the amount of grails that we see on Instagram desensitized us collectors when we end up seeing those cards in person?
I think so.
Yeah.
I remember it also is probably has a lot to do with how long you've been in the hobby too, not just like the fact that social media. Because when I just remember there was a lot of cards I hadn't seen, you know, in the first couple of years of being in the hobby, even being on Instagram and blog and stuff. There's cards would come out or that I'd heard about that I hadn't quite seen yet, and then over the years you kind of just eventually see everything.
Yep.
Especially now that really every card goes to auction.
I would say no, because cards, even when they're scanned well or photographed well, always look different in hand.
Mm.
So when you're at a show and you see this card like with your eyes.
Fair point. In hand is different.
Yeah.
In hand is always a different experience. That's a fair point. All right. Hometown Authentic says, I complained to my bank this week about my savings account earning very little money. I think he's right. You know, interest rates on savings accounts are tiny.
Oh, shit.
Then he says, unless you have a high yield savings account, but table that discussion. He says, they told me to invest my money elsewhere. Is this the green light?
What?
He said, is this the green light to put all of my money into Mickey Mantle cards?
I was hoping that's where this was going. So yes, the answer is yes. I would have gone that way, even if that's not where the question took it.
I think he should change banks as well.
Yeah,
They don't want
the bank of hard letter collection.
All right. Let's try and hit some more of the highlights here. A lot of thought went into this question, so let's discuss this question. Mitten State Collector says, you are able to be granted one of the following powers, and there's 3 powers that he describes. The first one is you know where every one of your Grail cards is located, but not if or when it will become available, nor do you know the price. Number 2, you know when each of your Grails will become available, but not where it is or the price. Or situation 3, you know the price, but you don't know where they are, nor if they'll become available. So which one do you want? Do you want to know where it is? Do you want to know when it'll become available, or do you want to know what it'll cost? But you can only know one of those 3.
Well, I'm gonna say when, because I feel like everyone's gonna choose the other 2. When it becomes available, then I can try to plan a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thinking man's answer.
I want where, because I will wear that motherfucker down.
Okay, nice use of the word where, and it's 2 different meanings in the same sense. That's nice.
Thank you.
I'm going
She
where
just
to.
really wants to know where that freaking maxi card is. She's like gnawing at her.
I'm going with where as well. But the reason why I'm going with where is because our Grails most likely are, the biggest Grails that we want. We're most likely never going to get those. So if I know where they are, at least I can rest a little bit easier knowing who has them and so on and so forth. Like just knowing where that Luca logo man is. Like there was something cool about like it went to auction. We didn't know who won it. Maybe it got purchased by a collector in Asia and it would never show up again. But knowing where it is, that it's back with Shine. It's pretty cool knowing where it is.
I really want to know where the Penny PMG Gem Master is. I really want to know.
Exactly. But I guess if you know when it's going to come up for sale, then you kind of also implicitly know where, well, eventually you know where it'll be.
Yeah, like it could
Kind of why I said the win. That's the cheat.
Yeah. And you're eventually going to know what it sells for, too.
I don't care where it comes from if I know when it's coming available.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. What else would we like to get to here? Should we get to this flipper question?
Yeah, sure. You teased it that it was coming.
All right. Billy Hoyle Can Dunk says, are flippers truly good for the hobby? I've tracked a certain PC card through 6 sellers in as many months, including some notable high-profile dealer card shops, all of which appear to have the same objective, which is to make money. I've noted the card being sold for very marginal gains and even up to 30% losses. I've made offers to 2 of the sellers, which are fair or even within $20 of what the card gets flipped for. I understand the good they offer and that they facilitate the liquidity of the hobby, but if the cards do not end up with the true collector, then what's the point? Do you have any thoughts on this? P.S. I'm sure I'll get the opportunity to acquire this card one day eventually.
And this is like saying, I wish that everyone in the country was a liberal and we all voted the same way, and that would just be craziness. Like I just feel like you have to have some balance in everything. Like I get the spirit of the question, and I understand the annoyance potentially with some aspects of flipping. I just feel like you need the variety, right? Like you need something to keep the checks and balances, and you just sort of need that. I don't know.
Fair. I think he kind of hits the nail on the head when he says Flippers do serve a purpose. If everybody was a collector, then cards wouldn't really become available. they would land in collections, and then we just never see them again, and eventually everything would just run out. So it's probably good that we have people who function as merchants, people who bring stuff to the market. But in excess, or if the ratio of flippers to collectors is out of whack, it does just grate on us when we see, like this example, the same card turning over and turning over and turning over, and it's just like it's just not interesting or fun to look at.
Yeah. I'm gonna need this person to start naming names and screenshotting it. Like, he half the story here, and I feel like he only gave half the story.
All right. Okay, this was an hour 2 question from the Card Father 13. So let's see what we can do here with this. All right. So he says, given the recent discussion regarding people's intentions with their sports card posts on social media, for example, are they marketing, are they storytelling, or are they just pumping and dumping? Is there a space to create a business behind being a hobby hype man for PCs? So a hype man is defined as a figure who plays a central supporting role within a group, generally aimed at hyping up a crowd. A hype man increases the crowd's excitement with call and response, and he gets the people dancing. So a hype man gives the artist a chance to breathe while giving the appearance of a nonstop flow. With all this, the hobby is dying nonsense, what better way to breathe life into the hobby than a hobby hype man? If you could pick any one person, any person, as your hype man to brag about your PC, who would you choose and why, alive or dead? This question is for all three. Christine, were you listening? Okay.
Kind of.
He says, for me, it's hard to go with anyone but DMX. So what do you say? Who's your hobby hype man?
Well, this is clearly like a silly question. Well, if I collected Paytomania, I have a lot of options for hype man. Many options. Fans of the show, Drake PC. But like a generic hype man. Lamim's kind of like a hobby version of a hype man.
Nice. Yeah, he's something. I don't know if he's hyping, but he's doing something. He's doing. Look, that's the way I was gonna go with this. Was look. A hobby hype man, we would hate that person more than we hate anybody in the hobby right now. A hobby hype man is a terrible idea, with all due respect to the great question asker, who asked a fun and great question. I'm going to go the other way. We need a hobby insult man who just goes around to different Instagram collections and just shits on them. And you never know what day is going to be your day. But every day he has a story post, and he'll look at your collection and he'll tell you all the reasons why it sucks. That would be embraced by this hobby. And so maybe it could be Jeff Ross. It could be like the comedian Jeff Ross, great insult comedian. Or it could be that dog. Remember that dog that used to be used? It was a hand puppet. Yeah, Triumph, the insult comic dog. We could have that dog insult all of our PCs. That's where I'm going with this one, Josh.
Can you do Vinny Slabarino's question?
Yes, Vinny Slabarino. Do you want to guess how it starts?
I do not.
Always enjoy the show. People in the hobby always say, buy the card, not the grade. But I don't really want to be a PSA 9 looking card in a PSA 7 slab. Just as much as I don't want a PSA 7 looking card inside a PSA 9 slab. So shouldn't the phrase be buy the card and the grade? Or maybe the curtain should match the drapes? You can have both. Thanks, Vinny.
This is my favorite question of the night. So true. I always hear that phrase, buy the card, not the grade.
Right.
That's part of it. I'm buying these two things together. I would like them both to be good. I want it to look like a PSA 10, and I want it to be a PSA 10.
Yeah. Good point, Vinny. Am I right?
So is the caption of the show going to be turtleneck or carpet matches the drapes?
Turtleneck is a late emerging candidate. Dude, at a certain point, people are going to be able to like string together, make sentences out of our titles.
What's that game when you got a bunch of blanks and then you ask them for Mad Lib? What is it?
Mad Libs, yeah.
You can play Mad Libs with the captions of our shows.
Like, let's just see if I can look at some of our recent show titles, because they've been becoming increasingly absurd.
Last week's was really absurd.
Last week was called Snipe Fart. The one before that was a stop sign. The one before that was called Polluting a Lake for My Grail. The one before that was called Cream in the Cone.
What?
That was about Josh's trip to Dallas and the fact that there was no cones.
Oh yeah.
Damn, it's fucked up when we don't even know our own inside jokes.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I remember that. Fuck.
Then we had Your Collection Got Worse today.
That was to Rodman.
No, that was to Coleman, actually.
Oh.
Shout out.
Yeah, some choices. Multiple choices.
Then we had The Goob Trap. Few Understand This, Let's Ride, Megabid, which, like, shout out to Pac Nicholson for basically making Megabid a part of hobby vernacular.
Don't forget Rollover Budget.
Rollover. So, like, our titles have increased and become more absurd. So
One of them was called Enough. You missed.
Well, I'm done reading it now. Thank you.
And they've become like less and less about cards.
Correct. So tonight, like, here's some of the candidates. I did write down role playing because Champ Card said that is an early candidate, and maybe it is. Turtleneck, you know.
Someone said Quad Box.
I like
quad box.
I like quad
Well,
box.
it wasn't. We never actually got a quad box.
Wait, are you in favor of quad box or not? Or not in favor of it?
Technically, I did not see a quad box, so I can't stand behind that as a fact. You can do quad box question mark.
In good. Okay, all right. Quad box with a question mark, or carpet match the drapes.
Oof, nope. One day my mom might go through these episodes, and I'd prefer not to have that one as the caption.
Yeah, we are getting to that level. I
like quad box question.
Let's get to one last question. We got the Vinny Slaverino. The time just flies. That's really what this comes down to.
Fun.
When you're having fun. Spurs Cards 21 says, how many days do you think these fools are going to do sit-ups for? I'm going with 9.
You're talking about the Seabug video we're doing.
You did.
I did. So on like February 1st, do they just do one again, or do they do 32? Like, how are they working this?
Fair question. Spurs Card says they're not getting to February, so you don't even got to worry.
No, I know, but I'm just asking.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're not saying, like, the one that I saw was the one that Lamine did. And, like, it was, like, the 5th day of the, like, instead of saying, like, the 5th day of the year, so I'm doing 5 sit-ups, it was today's January 5th, so I'm doing 5 sit-ups. So it just made me question.
Well, how long are you going to do them for? I believe you're starting your influencer campaign with the sit-up challenge, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't believe, but, you know, we're not doing influencer shit. Thank you.
All right. Let's see.
Did you see all this fake posts about LeBron going on ESPN and making like an announcement or something? I kept getting like a lot of people messaging me being like, oh, are you going to tune in for what LeBron says? It's like, he's playing tonight. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be on a ESPN interview demanding a trade or whatever the rumor was.
Yeah. LeBron has more of a flair for public entertainment than to just hide something in a Friday night, in a late Friday night interview on ESPN. He's going to do it a little bigger than that. All right.
Yeah, they're playing right now.
He's probably going to do a little. He's not going to bury a big nugget in a Friday night news dump.
It doesn't.
I think.
I just don't get why that spread. Like, Cage posted me, tagged me in something that he's going to announce his retirement or something. What are you talking about?
I believe that was Andrew. I believe it was Andrew. I saw that as well, that he might announce his retirement. And that would be wild if he did, but I don't see him. I don't think this is going to be the format. Just a random Friday night in January. But you never know. All right. The rest of these questions are pretty big questions. Yeah, let's just call it. All right, so Stiff Arm Wax proposed calling the show Turtleneck Quad Box ?
I mean, yeah, why not? Just fudge them together.
I mean, yeah, we can have a multi-thematic title.
It'll bring up more memories for us if it has all of that in there.
There you go. All right, man. Good show. Doing a show next week, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for a great show. Thanks to our guests, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it's sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.